Hello, and welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Riancho. Today is January 10th. It's wild card weekend, baby. It's time for the playoffs. It's here. Let's talk about who I think is going to win the Super Bowl. Let us begin. Sweet. Nice to see you, Jamie. Welcome in, man. Minor delay, just had to pack a bowl. Big game in here with us. Maybe you'll join us for some best ball later on, but at least once the big board comes out, I'm sure I'll see you in some drafts. But excited for that as we wait for a few viewers to step in. Just taking a little bit of time getting myself acclimated with OBS, but let us move on. Here is my bracket. Here are my picks for Wild Card Weekend. Just a quick review of what I do think will happen. We are going to run through every game real fast, and I'll show you my bracket. I'll show you what I think will happen in y'all's bracket, and then I also have some alternate brackets, some versions of how this thing can go that I think are possible, but maybe a little less likely from my personal standpoint. But I'm going to preface this right now. If you didn't like my wildcard picks, you are going to hate my bracket. I know I'm going to piss some people off with what I think is going to happen. So let's just remind you of my picks. We had the Rams game. I did take the Rams to win. I did not call upset there. I don't think that's really possible the second time. I'm absolutely taking the LA Rams. Then I'm taking the Niners here. I know most of you disagree. I understand the line. All the money is on Philadelphia, but I just don't want to pick Philadelphia. I'm really rooting against them, to be honest. I'm comfortable being known as a Eagles hater this year. The worst scenario I think possible is if they repeat as Super Bowl champs. So I'm taking the Niners. Hopefully I'm correct. But then I'm also taking the Packers as the 7 seed. So I'm calling all upsets. And then when it comes to my predictions, we got San Francisco here versus the Rams, and then we get the Packers versus Seattle. On the opposite side, I believe the Chargers are going to win. I picked them here over New England, so they would automatically get the highest seed facing off against Denver. And then I also took the Jaguars to win over Buffalo. That one's a true toss-up. I don't know exactly how that game's going to go, but I believe it will be Jacksonville. I also think the Steelers are going to win on Monday night. That's a huge factor, and I don't trust the Texans' offense. And I believe field goals will be the name of the game. So this is my bracket. I believe this will happen. And now let me show you what I think is going to happen after this point. So this is my second round. Got lost in the sauce real quick. Oh, that's why. That's the reason why. Whoops. The fuck? What did I just do? Sorry. This is the thing about going live. Sometimes I don't have my shit together. Normally, I have a plan, but here we got lost a little bit. This is what I think will happen in round 2. And like I said, y'all are going to hate it. I think the Steelers are going to beat the Jaguars. I think Rodgers can go on the road and beat Trevor Lawrence. I know. I'm sure none of you agree. Like, I'm sure very few people fucking agree. But my theory is when it comes to the Jags, they're going to have to play a perfect game to beat Buffalo. They are going to have to exhaust the playbook in the wildcard round, and it's not going to be an easy game. They're going to be kind of exhausted, and I think they're going to put all their cards on the table. So Mike Tomlin's going to know kind of all the ins and outs of their offense, and I do think their defense will play well. I think the Steelers' defense will step up. And I just think Rodgers can outduel Trevor Lawrence. I think Rodgers has looked really good this season. And that Ravens game, along with the Lions game, really has cemented why I think their offense can go the distance and win some games here. So with DK Metcalf back, that's a bad matchup for the Jags secondary. I would take the Steelers in that scenario. Kind of a tough world for that to happen. I'm not going to pretend like it's guaranteed, but this is what I do believe will happen. I think Rodgers is chasing Favre. Favre made it to the NFC Championship game his final year, and I think Rodgers has the chance to make it that far as well. So I'm taking the Steelers to advance, and then I'm also taking the Chargers to advance. The Chargers are undefeated when Herbert is active against Bo Nix. Bo Nix has never beaten the Chargers when they're at full strength. I know that happened last week, but even against the backups, the Chargers defense held the Broncos offense in check. Their offense didn't play very well against the Chargers, who were also benching some starters on defense. I think Harbaugh has Bo Nix's number, and I believe Herbert is a much better quarterback than Bo Nix. So I'm going to stick with my team. Yes, it's hometown bias, but I do genuinely believe this is the perfect path for the Chargers. If they can beat New England, I do think they will beat Denver. I don't think the bye helps Denver at all. I really think it's going to slow down their momentum, and their offense kind of sucks. I know everyone's going to point to the O-line. I know y'all are not going to like this. Like I said at the top, you're not going to like this. But I have the Chargers, Justin Herbert, going against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers in the AFC Championship game. On the opposite side, I believe Matthew Stafford will beat Brock Purdy. I think Purdy will lose that second game. And even if the Rams have to go at Philadelphia, if this game goes the opposite direction, I would still take the Rams. I still think the Rams will advance regardless. But in this scenario, Rams-Niners, they would host a playoff game, and at home they would definitely win. It would be interesting. I think this is the more entertaining matchup to watch, but I will go Rams in the NFC Championship game. And then against the Packers, there's no way the Seahawks lose. The Packers can maybe have an advantage in division against the Bears, but off the bye, Seattle will win. Seattle will advance. And Seahawks versus Rams is really the only two teams in this conference I can see making the Super Bowl. And I think this is the matchup we really deserve to decide the NFC. So that's what I think will happen in the NFC. Seahawks hosting the Rams. And then in the final outcome, where is it? Okay, I understand what's going on. In the final outcome, this is my final bracket. I believe the Seahawks will win, and I think they will go on to beat the Steelers. I think the Steelers, the second time around at home, will beat the Chargers. I don't think the Chargers will get it done the second time. Their O-line will eventually prevent them from actually winning multiple games, and I guess the third game. And I think the Rodgers storyline will work out. I think Rodgers is going to the Super Bowl, and I think Darnold will beat him. I think it's going to be two Jets former quarterbacks, and I'm taking the Seahawks over Rodgers and Mike Tomlin. A swan song final chapter for Rodgers. And honestly, like, if we actually got vintage Rodgers, that would be one of my favorite things to happen. I would also love a Rodgers Stafford Super Bowl. That'd be fucking awesome. But really, the only way this happens is if we are getting like elite, prime, vintage Rodgers for just 3 games, where he reminds us why we thought he was that good forever. Like, he's a Hall of Famer. He's chasing Favre, and I think he wants a legacy performance in the playoffs. Obviously, the Steelers haven't won a playoff game in 10 years, so this is really unlikely. But I think they get an ideal matchup against Houston. I really think they can beat Jacksonville on the heels of the Bills game. That's going to be a tough game to bounce back from, and I think Rodgers can outplay Lawrence if he really needs to. And then I think if they do host the Chargers, that's the only fucking way that they make the Super Bowl. Hosting the Chargers is the path for the Steelers. The Chargers are not going to win the second time. But this, I think, is the outcome. The Seahawks will beat Aaron Rodgers the second time. But anything could happen. It'd be funny, but Rodgers versus Packers Super Bowl would be cool. I'd also love a Rodgers versus Bears Super Bowl, but honestly, any Rodgers matchup would be fucking fire. Like, consider this. The Super Bowl is in San Francisco. He went to Cal. He grew up in Northern California. The Niners passed on him. He almost was a Niner if not for Alex Smith. Like, this would really bring his whole career full circle. It would be awesome for Rodgers to be in the Super Bowl. This is genuinely what I want to happen, because if it does, it means Rodgers plays balls to the wall, lights out. So we'll see if it happens. I really doubt it. I feel like my bracket is just purely wishful thinking, and I get it if you think I'm way off base and this is just making you laugh. But I did predict a Rams versus Ravens Super Bowl back in August, so I did think the Rams were the best team in their conference. But I genuinely think that if they're not facing Seattle in the divisional round off the Seahawks bye week, then they're not going to beat them in the NFC Championship game. I think if the Seahawks get the cushy second round matchup against the Packers, it's going to be similar to the Rams in the cushy matchup against the Carolina Panthers. So let's take a look at y'all's bracket, because that is a scenario that you guys predict will happen. And, you know, this is my bracket. Who knows what'll happen? But I wanted to bring up y'all's bracket because y'all did make picks as well. And there is a alternate version of how this is going to go. There's so many iterations of it. So let's show you y'all's bracket. These are the poll results. This is the bracket you guys think is going to happen. And basically every game other than the Rams game, we disagree on, except for Jacksonville, right? We only have two agreements where we see eye to eye on, the Rams and the Jaguars. So let's take a look at what you guys would think would happen. You believe that the Texans are going to beat the Steelers, so that would completely rule out a Steelers Super Bowl. I understand that logic, but I don't really want that to happen. So if the Texans win, you guys also think the Jags will win, and then you also think the Patriots will win. So the Patriots as the 2 would host Jacksonville. The Broncos would then host Houston. And then on the opposite side, you have the Rams winning against Seattle, because you have the Eagles winning, and they would go at Chicago because you have the Bears advancing as well. So we would get this matchup Rams-Seahawks off of the Seahawks bye week, and I do think that the Rams would win in this scenario. I think the weight would kind of stall the Seahawks. I don't think Darnold would play very well off the bye against the Rams. The Rams have kind of had his number at times, and I think the stop in momentum paired with the Rams probably just annihilating the Panthers like an automatic win, they're going to be really humming, and I think Devontae Adams will go off. Adams didn't play in the second game, so I really think the Rams in this scenario would be the favorites, and I think odds are they would win. I also think that the Eagles-Bears game is kind of a toss-up, and to be honest with you, I do have the bracket completed, but I honestly don't remember who I think wins. I think I picked the Eagles, but I might have picked the Bears in this matchup. This one, who the fuck knows? But I think I would be rooting for Chicago. Here, I think the Patriots would win. I think hosting the Jags, they would probably likely get the win. And then here, I think I would probably take the Broncos over the Texans. I think the Broncos are better than Houston. But is this actually what I thought would happen? I feel like I may have made some different picks. Oh no, that's exactly what I thought would happen. I'm surprising myself. I forgot. I have a bunch of different brackets I've made. So I think the Broncos will win. I think the Patriots will win. I think the Bears will win. And I think the Rams will win. So that means the Rams would go at Chicago. And it's a fun ride, but I don't think Caleb would beat Stafford. I think Stafford would win. And then here, I think if the Broncos are hosting New England, I think the Broncos are likely going to win. So in y'all's bracket, I do have a Rams versus Broncos matchup. I think the Broncos will advance, and then the Rams will also advance. And we're going to get a Stafford versus Bo Nix Super Bowl. I would take Stafford in this matchup. I believe if this is the matchup, Rams versus Broncos, give me the experience. I would definitely trust Sean McVay and Stafford over Sean Payton and Bo Nix. I think the AFC is actually like really much weaker when you really evaluate it. It doesn't really compare, in my opinion, to the NFC. So in most likelihood, every Super Bowl matchup this year, I am more likely going to pick the NFC team to win. So in y'all's bracket, I think it sets up for a Rams win. We'll see about that. But I do have some alternate brackets as well. This is the first one. This is my first alternate bracket where if we're wrong about the Jags, I think the Bills go all the way. I think if the Bills can win one playoff game against, in my opinion, one of the toughest matchups you can find in this conference, then I think they can win against everyone. I would pick them over Denver. I do think they would beat Denver. I don't think Bo Nix would have a chance against Josh Allen. The Broncos offense just isn't going to be able to put up enough points on Buffalo. So the Bills would advance here for sure. And then let's say the Texans win over the Steelers. Let's say I'm dead wrong about Pittsburgh. They would then go to New England most likely. I'm probably assuming this will happen. Let's say the Patriots beat the Chargers. I would take the Patriots. For sure, I would take the Patriots. Their offense is so much better. So then we get a Bills-Patriots rematch a third time around, and even though it's in New England, I would not take the Patriots to get the win. I would go Bills Super Bowl, and then let's say in this scenario the Eagles win over the Bears. I would still take the Rams over the Eagles. I would have a Rams Bills Super Bowl, and in this scenario, I think I would be hard pressed to take the Bills, but I feel like if they made it this far, I would probably just assume Josh Allen is on like a path of destiny. If Josh Allen makes the Super Bowl, I think he'll win. So I would go Josh Allen over the Rams. This is kind of the only AFC team I think can actually win the Super Bowl. The Bills with Josh Allen would win in this alternate bracket. So we'll see what happens. Maybe this will happen, but this is a second alternate. Let me pull this one up. And in this, I believe a Seahawks-Texans matchup is possible. If the Texans beat the Patriots, then I think the Texans would then host Buffalo, and I think they would win. We've seen them win at home over the Bills multiple times. The Bills don't play very well in the Texans' home stadium. So let's also envision a scenario where the Seahawks beat the Rams. Then I think Seattle would absolutely dominate over Chicago. And a Seahawks-Texans Super Bowl, I think, would result in Seattle getting the win. In this scenario, I would take Seattle to get the win. Let's say Houston beats Buffalo and the Seahawks beat Chicago. Give me the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. Odds are I believe the Seahawks will win the Super Bowl. But there's actually two more alternates I'd like to bring up. This one I think is possible. The Texans I think are a very legit contender if they can win this week. But I don't like this scenario on Monday night, so I think they lose. But alternate scenario number 3, I think a Bears-Jags Super Bowl would be fucking awesome. This one would be really, really fun. I would love to see Caleb actually make it that far. Ben Johnson is a coach that can do it. I wouldn't rule it out entirely, but honestly, I think it's unlikely that the Packers lose this week. So we'll see what happens. But Bears, this would be a crazy path. They'd have to beat the Seahawks or the Rams. That feels very unlikely, especially going on the road at Seattle. But this would be pretty fun. And then if the Jags make it, I definitely think they can. The Jags, we've seen beat Denver already, so they could beat them again. And who knows, going on the road at New England, if they already beat Buffalo, that could definitely happen as well. So this would be fun. In this scenario, I would also take the Jags over the Bears. I'd be so shocked if Chicago actually wins the Super Bowl. Maybe they can make it on kind of like a fluke scenario, like Darnold just shits the bed. But I think if Lawrence makes the Super Bowl against Caleb, I would go Jaguars in this scenario. And then my final alternate, I could go all day with alternate scenarios, but the final one is my fuck you bracket. This last bracket I'm going to show you is the worst case scenario. This would suck. After like such an elite year that was just so entertaining, if you told me this is how the playoffs go, I would be livid. This would be just the worst outcome possible. The Panthers win. The Panthers winning would really derail every single bracket. I don't think anyone's bracket would be safe if the Panthers win. But the Eagles winning, that's going to be annoying. The Bears winning is fine. Actually, I guess Packers winning would be more of a fuck you. But let's say Eagles advance here, and I'm not going to pretend like the Panthers can beat Seattle. Let's say it's Seahawks versus Eagles. This is like realistically what could happen, and then the Eagles advance. On the other side, let's say the Texans against the Broncos. That's going to be boring. Nothing but defense. Like maybe you like that game, but I think Stroud versus Bo Nix would be pretty effing boring. And let's say Houston wins. And then let's say the Jags lose to the Patriots and the Patriots win. The Patriots, I think, can beat Houston more likely than beating Denver. So let's say the Patriots advance. Patriots against Eagles. That would suck, man. That would be really gross. I would hate that. That would be the most sad outcome I could picture. So this one I'm rooting 100% against. This one would be just a big middle finger to everyone watching. I think this would suck so bad. Um, it might be a little fun. Like I could probably envision something worse. Like imagine if we get Panthers versus Texans. Like that'd be also kind of gross. But imagine if we get a Panthers versus Bears NFC Championship game. Like we would revisit that trade for Caleb Williams. If Panthers versus Bears would be shocking. But really the one that I think is most likely is y'all's bracket. I think more realistically, y'all's bracket is probably the outcome I would put my money on. And just a reminder, that is the Rams versus Broncos scenario. Y'all would pick a lot of games differently than me, 4 in general and in total. And then I think if we had a Rams-Eagles matchup or Rams-Bears matchup, that'd be really fun. The Broncos are probably going to host the AFC Championship game and probably make it, but I'm a Charger fan. I've been hating on the Broncos for a while now, so I'm not rooting for that. But I assume the Rams winning the Super Bowl over Denver is a very, very likely outcome. If not the Rams, then it would be Seattle. And a reminder of the bracket that I believe will happen. This is what I want to happen. Seahawks versus Steelers, and I will take Sam Darnold over Aaron Rodgers. I think the Seahawks or the Rams are most likely the winner, and I will put my money on Seattle over hopefully Aaron Rodgers, maybe Josh Allen, maybe Justin Herbert. I really doubt that. I don't think they can win 3 road games, but either Aaron Rodgers or Trevor Lawrence, I hope make the Super Bowl. I think that'd be the most fun, exciting, entertaining outcome. I mean, Josh Allen, of course, would also qualify, but I just don't think they win this week. So this is personally what I think will happen and what I'm rooting for. Who knows? Should be fun. But let's do some playoff best ball. Let me revisit the chat real quick. Jody Garrison, I think whichever team wins the Bills and Jags advance to represent the AFC. That's pretty likely to happen, but I do worry about just coming off such an emotional game. Like sometimes if this game was the AFC Championship game, it would make a lot of sense. I think these two teams are pretty deadly, the Jags and the Bills. But for them to match up in week 1, I kind of feel like they're going to exert and deplete a bit of resources and kind of have to empty the playbook. And now, like, where do you go? You don't have like trick plays up your sleeve. I'm a bit worried that the winner of that game is not going to play as well in the immediate game after that. I'm a bit worried they're not going to be able to stack elite games back to back. So, who knows? Probably Bills, Jags, that winner does advance, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Ryan, Patriots, Bills, Texans. That would I guess the poll, no. The poll definitely goes with Jags, but yeah, that would be the opposite of this. There's no way Chargers O-line holds up. That's what everyone says, but watch a miracle happen, man. Watch a miracle. This is definitely a hot take video. This is absolutely a hot take video. I've been saving it because I knew I was going to get a lot of hate from this. I know y'all are not going to like this. Cooking Bacon, also a Broncos hater. Peace, man. Let's take a hit. Cheers to hating on the Broncos. I think the bye is going to do them dirty. I don't think they're going to show up off the bye. I really don't. But let's go Chargers, baby. But Jamie, building Legos with your kid, that's awesome, man. Have fun. I'm very curious who you think will win the Super Bowl, Jamie. I would love to hear your thoughts. But with that in mind, let's play some playoff best ball. We ran out of time on the major playoff tournaments, so I will show you some of my teams I like before we go into like just the games this week. But I'll keep this in like the bottom corner. I'll keep this here. We've got my bracket in the bottom corner for anyone that comes in later that wants to check it out. But here we go. This is Underdog, and a reminder. Actually, one thing real quick. There is an Underdog promo currently going on that I have to offer. This is massively zoomed in, but promo code BLUNT for new customers. Use the link in the description. Let me show you what is going on. I make this much smaller. Jesus. All right, so here's the promo. Promo code BLUNT gives you $75 in bonus entries after you play your first 5. There is also a gimme pick available for the quarterback of your choice, and you can lower their projection to 0, and it's basically an automatic pick to hit. So promo code BLUNT, only new customers are eligible. So if you already have an Underdog account, that is unfortunate, but if you are a new customer, if you would like $75 in bonus entries, use promo code BLUNT. The link is in the description, and once you make your first deposit and play your first $5, you will get an extra $75 deposited in your account to use on, I believe, fantasy entries for the upcoming offseason. That is, I believe, the offer. $75 in bonus funds deposited in your account after you play your first 5. But only if you use promo code BLUNT. And with that out of the way, let's get going. We're going to hop in. Actually, we're going to hop in after I revisit just a few of my teams in playoff best ball. So if we go to the live tab, we can see I have 23 entries in playoff best ball this season. And let's take a look at the gauntlet. This was a $25 tournament. I only entered 3 times, and let's go through some teams. I have one with a Niners stack. We'll see if the Niners win, but maybe they make it all the way to the Super Bowl. I believe I drafted this team before they were out of the 1 seed. So definitely a better scenario if they got the 1 seed, but at least I'm not going to have a bagel at quarterback in week 1. So I have Purdy, CMC, ETN, RJ Harvey, Hampton, and Kenny Gainwell. I went very heavy on running back here. And then we drafted George Kittle and Jawan Jennings. That's going to be our stack. And then to get there, we also have Quentin Johnston and DK Metcalf. A Charger combo with Hampton and Quentin Johnston. And then a Steelers combo as well with Kenneth Gainwell and DK Metcalf. Those 4 players are going to be low owned in this setting. So I'm going a bit contrarian in terms of my approach. We'll see if it works out. The second team, I have a Stafford-Rodgers combo. That's a matchup I would love to see in the Super Bowl. Stafford versus Rodgers. And then at running back, I got Blake Corum, Kenneth Walker, Omarion Hampton, Zach Charbonnet, and Kenneth Gainwell. So if we do get a Rams-Steelers Super Bowl, I have both quarterbacks. I have Corum and Kenneth Gainwell. And then at wide receiver and tight end, we have Devontae Adams and DK Metcalf. So I'm very much locked into only Adams and Metcalf at receiver. And who knows, maybe Quentin Johnston makes it that far as well. So hopefully my bracket is going to hold accuracy for the sake of this gauntlet team. And then my third one, my last one, I have Brock Purdy and Justin Herbert. Kind of wish I didn't have a second Brock Purdy team in hindsight. But I just don't think that the draft went how I wanted it. I believe this one I kind of got pissed with some of the snipes that happened. But we also have Christian McCaffrey on this team, Kenneth Walker, and Zach Charbonnet. So let's say the Seahawks make the Super Bowl. I would still have that eligible against Herbert in the AFC. And then my receivers and tight ends are Kittle and Jawan Jennings and Pearsall. I also have Quentin Johnston and Rondé Gadsden as well. So maybe a Chargers Seahawks Super Bowl would also be okay for me on this team, but we'll see what happens. Ideally, Purdy does advance, but that's not what I'm expecting to happen at all anymore. So I kind of feel like I burned some cash on a couple of these Niners gauntlet entries. But I also drafted 3 in the Summit. This was a 3-entry max, and this is the tournament I put a lot more effort into and thought. My first one I drafted, I believe, still in like week 17, so before the playoff bracket was set. And this one has Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams on it. We also have Travis Etienne, Swift, and Monangai. So that'd be cool if that's the Super Bowl matchup. We also have Adams, Goddard, Brian Thomas, Luther Burden. And then this team also has DJ Moore as well. You just can't see it. He's just cropped just below. There we go. DJ Moore is the final player. So a big Jags Bears stack. It's definitely possible. We'll see what happens. But perhaps we get a Jags Super Bowl, and then I still have at least one other player with a Rams receiver, Adams, and then Eagles tight end in Dallas Goedert. So hopefully this one has some viability. But then my second team, this one, we took Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert. So an Eagles-Chargers preview for the Super Bowl. Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift, and Hampton. So I'm kind of relying on Hampton and the Chargers to make the Super Bowl here. And then wide receiver tight end, we got A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Quentin Johnston, Colston Loveland, and Ladd McConkey. So I do have a Eagles-Jags Super Bowl outcome that may not be the end of the world in this one either. Or a Bears-Jaguars Super Bowl, Bears-Chargers. That's also a combination that could work out. But my last team, I think, is the best one if I remember correctly. This one has Drake May stacked up with Travion Henderson, R.J. Harvey, Ramondre, and Zach Charbonnet. So we're betting on the Patriots here. And then at receiver tight end, we got Diggs, Henry for the Patriots stack. And then Quentin Johnston, Luther Burden, and Kayshon Boutte. So heavy investment on the Patriots. I got to pretend like at least one of these I'm going to be dead wrong on, and it's going to go the exact opposite of how I predict. So I do have a lot invested in the Chargers, but then I also have one team that's kind of a hedge where if I am wrong about Herbert this week and the Patriots advance, let's predict a Patriots Super Bowl, and Drake May is just really that good. So that team is interesting. That team might be dead this week if my bracket is correct, but if I'm wrong, that team actually could go the distance. That team I actually like quite a bit as the antithesis to what I think happens. I think a Patriots-Seahawks Super Bowl would be kind of cool. And then we have Travion, Ramondre, and Charbonnet in that scenario. And the Patriots stack at receiver. So that one I like quite a bit. But then I just drafted 4 teams in the mitten 3 as it was running out of time. So I'll revisit those. Those are the most recent teams I drafted. And then after this, I'll draft some for DFS this week. We got Darnold and Herbert paired up with Cook, Walker, Charbonnet, and Ty Johnson. So a bit of a Seahawks-Bills situation with a quarterback in the wildcard round because Darnold is on bye. So Herbert, he's not stacked up with anyone. But otherwise, I have JSN, Kincaid, Barner, and Shaheed. So a big Seahawks investment. This team I like quite a bit. Seahawks-Bills matchup would be dope. But probably having Allen in that scenario is probably the better outcome. This mitten team, I drafted Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert, so an Eagles-Chargers matchup. We'll see about that. But then running back, I took Saquon and Ramondre Stevenson, so maybe the Patriots make it and I have an extra piece there. But otherwise, we're just fully committed to Eagles with A.J. Brown, Goddard, and Jahan Dotson in the final round. I also took Ladd McConkey, Quentin Johnston, and Keenan Allen to stack up with Herbert. So this one is fun. I'm hopeful, but I am betting against Philly a little bit. And then this one, we have a full Trevor Lawrence commitment, only one quarterback in this team. This one was paired up with Etienne, R.J. Harvey, and Charbonnet. So regardless of... no, we're betting on Jacksonville versus Seattle on this one. And then we also have JSN, Jacoby Myers, and Parker Washington, along with Brenton Strange. Those 3 Jags receivers are stacked up. Also have Rashid Shaheed, and then I also have Pat Bryant as well. So if the Jags don't make the Super Bowl, this one might not work out, but I kind of like it. And then this last one I'll show you before we move on is Stafford versus Bo Nix in the Super Bowl. R.J. Harvey and Blake Corum at running back. I think Corum is actually a very sneaky pick instead of Kyron for the Rams. And then at receiver, we have 6 of them with Adams, Cortland Sutton, Colby Parkinson, Pat Bryant, Tutu Atwell for maybe a house call, like a 70-yard catch. That'd be pretty dope. Only drafted in 1.18%. I love that. I love that people slept on Tutu Atwell in this format. And then lastly, I also took Evan Ingram for the Bo Nix stack. I think Evan Ingram is a piece that a lot of people are not really considering a good draft candidate. But I also love Pat Bryant. He's emerging lately. This team I like a lot. This one is very reminiscent of y'all's bracket. This one, let me remind you of y'all's bracket. I think this is how it's going to go in y'all's bracket. We got a Rams Broncos Super Bowl. So this one I think is actually pretty dope. We got 6 different receivers, so a lot of variance there with 2 running backs that I think are going to be very consistent on their respective teams, and then the two quarterbacks that probably go the distance in all likelihood. So I love this team. This one is one of my favorites, but I do have some, different plays that are just like for the sake of fading the public. Like this one with a Herbert commitment is fun. This one with I think it's a Stafford commitment with a bunch of running backs and Puka Nakua. That should be cool. And then I think this last one is that I have one team that's all Rodgers. I don't know where it is, but I have one team that's just heavy on the Steelers, and I'm sure that's not going to be a common combination. So that's going to be it for what I showed you that I've already drafted. Now let's draft a team today, and which one should we do? We got the Primetime Knockout for $10, 14,000 entries. We got the Battle Royale with 32,000. I'll probably go on a smaller one. Not going to drop 250, but that's kind of tempting. I think I'll go the Hurry Up. Yeah, for $3, 7,500 person tournament. Let's do that. Let's draft a few in the Hurry Up if we can. All right. But Jamie says, I'm thinking Bills because they're nemesis that always kicks them out, didn't make the playoffs, so it's now or never for them. Yeah, if it doesn't happen, it's going to be pretty sad, but I don't believe in Sean McDermott. That's ultimately my take on it. I don't believe in Sean McDermott. But definitely possible. If it doesn't happen, it's kind of sad. But just like the Chargers, Bills are also a cursed franchise. From one cursed fan to another. Good luck this week. Good luck this year, I guess. But we draw the 103 in this. And we're not going to get Puka most likely. Browns are also cursed. Yeah, Browns are cursed, but like the Browns haven't had the success of the Bills. Like the Bills have made 4 straight Super Bowls in the 90s. And then they've lost 4 straight times to Patrick Mahomes. That is... Which one is worse? I imagine the Browns curse is never going to get topped other than the Jets. But I think if I could pick one team that would be like the more ideal fate to have, would be the Bills instead of like the Chargers or the Browns or the Jets or like the Vikings or the Falcons, The Bills at least have had like a lot of success over the course of history, but on this team, fuck it. Let's side with Jamie. Let's go with a Bills team. It's very unlikely we get James Cook to come back, but let's just take Josh Allen. Let's not pretend he can't be the clear path to win. This is only for the wild card week. This is only for the wild card round, so I don't have to worry about who advances, who wins the game, just who plays the best in fantasy. Let's assume that Josh Allen goes nuclear this week. Browns have more championships than any other franchise pre-Super Bowl. Yeah, but that was such a long time ago, man. Like, clinging to past success is not that ideal, especially when it was that long ago. But part of me thinks the weather in Cleveland is a big reason why they've been held back. There's some weird weather games a lot in Cleveland. But who are we going to pick in this? We missed out on Cook, obviously. Didn't happen. I could see A.J. Brown having a great game. I could also see Travion going nuclear. Yeah, if there's one player that scares the shit out of me against the Chargers, it's actually Travion Henderson. I know Drake May could go nuclear as well, and that'd be unfortunate, but I do think the house call run from Travion is like a very viable thing to hit this week. Wouldn't shock me at all if Travion has like a 50-yard house call, not just once, but twice against the Chargers. That has been their weakness a couple times. But about to be on the clock. The team goes Kyron. I could see Colston Loveland fucking dominate against the Packers. But that matchup actually hasn't been great. I could also see Christian Watson dominate. I'm picking Jordan Love to actually play really well. So let's go Christian Watson. That Bears receiver matchup is not a good defense. Like they force a lot of turnovers, but they give up a lot of yards to receiver. If you actually look at the last like 5-6 weeks, the Bears stat lines versus receiver have been really, really good. Last 4 games, Chicago ranks as the 8th best matchup for receiver, and on the season they rank as the 4th best. It's a good spot for Christian Watson. I also think it's a good matchup for like Rome Odunze and the Bears receivers. Rome Odunze being active is a huge variable that's hard to estimate. I could see Rome be pretty solid, but we can take him in the last round. I'm not going to take him here. I do like the Tedero McMillan pick against the Rams. I could see garbage time really pay off for him. The Rams secondary is pretty bad against big receivers like him. So Tet, I think, is a good pick. I don't think Steelers are good picks this week. Pretty bad, other than maybe like Kenneth Gainwell against Houston. But we have Josh Allen, and I think it's wise to have like some level of stack. The Jags defense is actually pretty vulnerable against the tight end position. So let's go with Allen to have a day throwing to Kincaid. Kincaid has been very banged up this year, but I do think he has the highest upside of like any singular Bills receiver. There's a chance he shits the bed, but I like the matchup, and we did bet on Allen on this team. So let's give him some props, you know. Kincaid has had some elite games at times, and I would like a stack. Would have loved James Cook, but for him to fall another 4 picks was very unlikely. So we are back on the clock. And you know who fucking dominated the Patriots? Ladd McConkey and Quentin Johnston. But damn. This one's a bit tough. But yeah, I'm going to go Ladd McConkey here. If I'm correct, he had 179 yards in the wildcard round last season. And if you tell me the Patriots have a lockdown corner going to be placed on someone, it's probably not the slot receiver. I don't think that Christian Gonzalez will be lined up on Ladd. I think he's more likely lined up on Quentin Johnston. I could see Keenan dominate, but let me pull up Pro Football Reference. Let's go to Lad. We got a few picks, so career. Scroll all the way down. So against the Texans, it was 197 yards. I thought it was 179. It was 197. And then last year, he also played the Patriots in Week 17. He had 8 catches for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, watch out for Ladd this week. McConkey gonna dominate. I think Herbert's an excellent pick. But with our last selection, where do we go? I don't think I want to go with another Bill. Can we go to the Jaguars? What about the Jags? Brian Thomas, perhaps. Or like Beischel Tootin. Is Tootin active? Yeah. Tootin's kind of sneaky. We'll go Tootin. Yeah, we'll bet on Tootin. That game's going to be a big shootout, and let's say that ETN gets vultured a couple times. Definitely possible. We've seen Tootin play pretty well, and the weakness of the Bills' defense is definitely the run defense. So let's bet on that. Some correlation in that Jags-Bills game. So this is the team we drafted just now for $3. We took a Josh Allen at the 103. Then at the 204, we took Travion Henderson. Afraid of some elite 30-point potential. Then we took Christian Watson because I like the matchup, and I think Jordan Love is going to play very well. Then we took Kincaid for a Josh Allen stack. That game should be high scoring against Jacksonville, and their weakness is often against tight end, but kind of hard to really feel confident in a Bills pass catcher sometimes. And then we took Ladd McConkey because he was so dominant last year against New England and in the playoffs. It could happen again. And then Beischel Tootin for the sake of matchup and just having someone that more likely than not, most people are not going to draft. Like there's going to be fewer teams with Beischel Tootin. So let's make our combo a little more unique, but definitely a little bit risky with Beischel Tootin. I would like to do one more, at least one more. We got a little bit longer. So if you want to hop in with me, let me know if you're in here, but we're hopping into the hurry up for $3. I'm sure it'll fill like instantly. Yeah, literally instantly. We're getting a dome 2028 and we'll still suck. I think once you get the new stadium, then I will pick you to win. I think with the new stadium, they're going to be better. Bet the Henderson anytime touchdown. That's a pretty solid bet. I like that a lot. And then Jamie also says Christian Watson, I bet, has a couple big plays. Yeah, he's going to be pretty much involved quite a bit. But let me get rid of the graphic here. All right. We got the Panthers-Rams game in like 40 minutes. Very exciting. Can't wait. I'll probably stay on for another 10, 15 minutes. Ideally is the last one we do, but maybe I'll do one more. Just maybe. But if you're watching, let me know who you think will win the Super Bowl. Anyone watching, let me know your thoughts on Wildcard Weekend, where you think my bracket is wrong. I'm sure y'all fucking hate my bracket. But it would be so much fun if Rodgers actually makes a run, you know? Elite vintage Rodgers would be phenomenal to watch. Dobbs also had a big game last time they played before he got hurt and left. I do think that Jordan Love's going to have some success. So maybe I set up a Jordan Love team here. That could be fun. Yeah, let's try and lean into the Packers this week. I doubt that's heavily targeted. ETN goes. I would have liked ETN there. But no, we'll go Devontae Adams. We'll at least take someone that's like truly elite. Give me Devontae Adams with our first pick. Oh, right. I'm back on the clock as well. And then for our second pick, it hasn't been a good matchup for tight ends this year against Philly, but fuck it. If they're going to win, Kittle's going to have to dominate. Let's go Kittle. Let's take George Kittle. Might have to block a little extra given Trent Williams' injury, but I assume Trent Williams will be fine and active, and we're going to go George Kittle. If you told me Trent Williams is ruled out, that would really shock me. I doubt that's actually what's going to happen. I assume he's a game time call, but let me verify that right now. Trent Williams, as of today, most recent news per Jeremy Fowler, very legit ESPN reporter, Trent Williams is trending towards returning for Sunday's wildcard matchup. Of course he is. Really? There's no way he's going to miss. He's a left tackle with a hamstring injury. I'm not saying he's 100%. I'm not saying it's difficult. It's not difficult to play. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's definitely not good. But it's a playoff game against the Eagles. He's not going to miss. So let's take Kittle there. Adams and Kittle feels like a very good combo. Hard to beat. Kittle should perennially be the top tight end drafted for sure. Like, even in a bad matchup, I would still definitely consider him by far the best option at tight end. So happy to have him on the roster at the 201. The first round totally passed. Interesting that the second round fully passed on Allen as well. That's kind of crazy. But the team with Puka also has Allen. Fuck. However, that also, damn it, of course. Team with Saquon grabs Stafford. Why can't you let me have Stafford? That's a bummer. But we are planning for Jordan Love after all. Maybe that's actually good. I would have been too tempted to draft Jordan Love. But here, if they let me have it, I know where I'm going. Give me Christian Watson. And then I think I'm going to go DeAndre Swift. Let me think about it just a little bit, though. We have 2 picks, a minute to make both selections. Not going to go that long, but nah, I don't think I'll go Kyle Manungai. I doubt it. Maybe. Let's take Christian Watson first. And then, you know what? Fuck it. Jamie mentioned Romeo Doubs having a good game against them. Let's go Romeo Doubs. Let's go Romeo Doubs. And then if Swift comes back to me, then I would consider it fate and will probably take him. But even if he does, I might still just ignore it and go Kyle Manungai. Because that Packers defense is bad. Let's not pretend like the Packers defense is good right now. So things will need to go in our favor. Odds are Swift is the play, but it's a playoff game. Wild shit's going to happen. Ben Johnson's going to have weird shit up his sleeve. And who knows? Maybe this is a Kyle Manungai game instead of DeAndre Swift. It's also kind of cold and like almost snowing. Last I checked the weather. It's going to be 32 degrees with a 20% chance of snow. So, yeah, it might benefit the run game a little bit for Chicago. But yeah, if you're still watching, let me know who you think wins the Super Bowl. Let me know what matchup you are predicting, NFC versus AFC, and your winner. Would love to hear your thoughts. But all I know is whatever happens this weekend, it's not going to be what most people think. That's why my bracket is definitely like a much more contrarian play. And I think I saw enough from Rodgers against the Lions and against the Ravens to believe it's possible. But Joshua Carrero is picking the Bears. Haven't beat Packers in playoffs since 1941. Or maybe you're just saying that. I assume you're picking them, but maybe I'm wrong. So probably not. I doubt you'd remind me of this stat if you assume they would win. Yeah, I'm shocked at how many people are just dismissing the history of Bears Packers. I know it's not the same Bears team anymore. I know it's different this year, but like just because Ben Johnson really wants to beat LaFleur twice a year doesn't mean it's going to happen this time. Very odd circumstances for them to beat them in overtime the last time it happened. But Swift did circle back, so I'm not going to fuck around too much. I think I will take this as fate. Let's go DeAndre Swift. And Jordan Love. I think that's a high-scoring game. I really do. I don't see much defense from the Packers side, but I do think the Packers win. So that means the Bears are going to play well, and that means Jordan Love is going to fucking ball out. So I think it's worth it, worth a shot. Maybe it doesn't happen, but we got Adams and Kittle. That's awesome. I think Adams is going to dominate coming back to the field. He's been sitting out for a while. He's fully healthy. He's good to go. He's probably going to have like 3 touchdowns. So give me Devontae Adams. And then George Kittle could also have 3 touchdowns. If the Niners win, it's because Kittle fucking dominates. And then we're betting on the Packers-Bears game to be lights out. We're going to go Jordan Love, double stacked with Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. Not that common. I don't think there's going to be that many teams like this. Definitely a little bit unique. And then I could have made it more unique for sure going Kyle Monangai, but odds are Swift keeps it together and keeps rolling as the RB1. But Josh Carrero's also saying Jordan Love 4-0 against the Bears. Yes, absolutely. The only time Caleb has beaten Green Bay, Jordan Love has not finished the game. Last time it was the concussion, and then last year it was week 18, and they benched everyone after like 1 drive. Bears had the first ever dynasty team back in the 1940s, says Jamie. A long time ago. Long time ago. They're still kind of living off like, I guess this year, not as much, because there's actually hope and optimism since Ben Johnson got there, who I think is like the number 2 coach of the year. I think for coach of the year, I'd go Kyle Shanahan. Then I would go Ben Johnson. And then I would go Mike Vrabel. I think those 3 are coach of the year, in my opinion. So any of those 3 getting the award, I think, is justified. But I think I'd probably give it to Shanahan. Because what he was able to do with Mac Jones was just so impressive. So many injuries everywhere. Not just Mac Jones, not just Brock Purdy, up and down the board on offense and defense. I think Shanahan is the coach of the year. But Ben Johnson's right up there with him. If it's not Shanahan, then I think it should be Ben Johnson, but I understand how Vrabel also has a big argument to be in that discussion. Jamie saying back in 1924, Bears were temporarily kicked out of the league after a violent game versus the Packers. That's interesting. Think it's going to be Bills versus Seahawks Super Bowl or Patriots versus Seahawks. Yeah, I believe the Seahawks will win the Super Bowl. But I'd be pretty bummed if they played the Patriots. I feel like that'd be kind of disappointing. And then the Bills can definitely make it. Wouldn't shock me at all if that's the outcome. But I do think they lose this week. But really anything can happen. If we've ever had like a more up for grabs season, I can't remember it. Like I don't think I was alive for a more genuinely hard to predict outcome. The only thing I think is like pretty easy to envision is that either the Rams or the Seahawks win the NFC. I don't think it'll be any other team than those two. But who knows? Maybe it's the Eagles again. Maybe the Bears make a run. Maybe just maybe the Niners find a way. But gonna be fun. Let's do one last hurry up, one last draft, and then I'll say goodbye. We only have 8 minutes left. Let's do it. We're gonna be one of the last teams that drafts one of these. Yeah, there's 7,500 entrants. I am entrant number 7484. I am one of the last entrants to this tournament. Fun fact, Bears had the most Hall of Fame players of any franchise. Didn't know that. Josh says, it seems like ever since Allen got his wife pregnant, he hasn't been playing that good. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. But next year the Super Bowl is at SoFi, and I think that's going to be the Chargers' year. I wouldn't tell you the Chargers can win a Super Bowl. I don't believe it. This year, I don't believe it. Can they make the Super Bowl? I think it's possible. I think they can make the AFC Championship game more likely. But next year, I think the Chargers should really be in that discussion. They're going to get Alton Slater healthy, so you're adding 2 all-pro tackles, plus a full draft class. And by them getting the 7 seed, if they get knocked out in round 1, they have the best draft pick of any playoff team as well. Not just in round 1, but every single draft after that. Them getting the 7 seed is actually like them playing chess in many ways for the draft. I love them getting the 7 seed, to be honest with you. Because let's not pretend like the Chargers with that O-line can win the Super Bowl. Can Herbert make a run? Possibly. But I think next year they need to be in that discussion. Especially if Keenan Allen comes back. I don't think he has to. I think they can still really compete well. But if their receiving core stays intact and their offensive line just gets bolstered with health and draft picks, watch out, man. Watch out for the Chargers. But I'm going to go Travis Etienne. I think the reason why the Jags win is because Etienne and the Jags just fully exploit the Bills' defense weakness. I think Etienne's going to have an awesome game. Jamie, stop gossiping, Jamie. That's ridiculous, bro. That's wild. Oh wow, they let Allen circle back. Fuck it. I think I'll take another Allen team. Actually, no. Let's leave that alone. I could see AJ Brown play awesome. I could see Diggs shit the bed. Let's go AJ Brown. Pretty unguardable in that Niner secondary. Isn't that scary? So give me AJ Brown here. I don't feel as confident about Nico Collins against the Steelers. Nico Collins is fine, but I think AJ Brown has a better game than Nico. I think Adams is going to have the best game of any receiver, but I like AJ Brown over Nico. So let's take a stud while we can, and then let's mix it up a little bit with these final 4 picks. Knuckle Sandwich says Jags in the Super Bowl if they beat Buffalo. Definitely possible. I think they're one of the 3 teams that can make the Super Bowl in that conference. I think I'm just going to get ahead of it. lock myself into it. Because I want this to be a Charger team. Yeah, give me Justin Herbert. Herbo. For sure. And then tight end. I could see Hunter Henry play really well. Don't think I'm going to go Oronde Gadsden. But Goddard is good to go. Now, we already bet on A.J. Brown. Let's not get competing receivers. Yeah, give me a Hunter Henry team. Yeah. And then we'll see what happens around the turn, but I think I'll get who I want. Josh says, next season I need Bills to trade away James Cook for Derrick Henry. I don't see why you would need to do that, man. Derrick Henry been fumbling. James Cook, I think, is better. Plus, you got Ray Davis. Everyone sleeps on Ray Davis. Ty Johnson's pretty legit. You have an okay run core. I don't see why you would need to trade and give up assets for Derrick Henry. I'll be honest with you, man. I don't love this take. Stick with James Cook. You already paid him. Josh says Mike McDaniel meeting with Titans soon. I want him as our new offensive coordinator in LA. I want him to be the Chargers offensive coordinator. I want Mike McDaniel to pass on the bad coaching jobs. We're taking Ladd. Actually, no, I'm going to take Quentin Johnston because no one in their right mind is going to take Ladd. Instead, they'll take Quentin Johnston. But yeah, I want Mike McDaniel to take a year off from coaching, and I want him to go and be the offensive coordinator on a team that is very different than the Niners. I want him to go to like a head coach that's like known for like an established culture, whether it's Detroit or the Chargers or even Philadelphia. I don't really care where, but I want him to be the OC somewhere else and learn from someone that like builds a culture in the building. Someone sniped me on Ladd. Fuck you. We're going Keenan then. God damn it. I think someone just wanted to say, no, okay. That's fine. That's fine. They have bets on the Patriots Charger game. So that's fine. We took Hunter Henry from them, so whatever. That's a justified snipe. Justified from Dr. Juice. Can I do one more or is it full? Oh, right. We filled it up. Yeah. Yeah, that'll be my last one. So this is our team out of the 4 slot. We took Justin Herbert stacked up with QJ and Keenan Allen. Keenan hasn't played in a playoff game in a long time. This could be a fun game for Keenan Allen. Also with Travis Etienne against the Bills, that's going to be awesome in my opinion. Definitely an elite play. And then A.J. Brown can always go berserk. And then let's assume that the Patriots keep up with the Chargers. The Chargers defense is pretty good, but their receiver defense is a bit tougher in terms of fantasy. I would rather get the tight end matchup than receiver matchup. It's not good. Neither of them are good, but overall on the season, the Chargers have really played well against receivers. So let's go a little bit different. I also need a tight end. I don't want Gadsden on this team. So I'll go Hunter Henry with QJ and Keenan Allen. But that team with Drake May that sniped me on Ladd pissed me off. Goes Jacobs, Adams, Diggs, and Kincaid as well with Drake May. And then the team with Purdy in the final round has Saquon, Kenny Gainwell. That's interesting. Nico and Tet McMillan, not bad. And then Loveland, that should be valuable too. I took Herbo. Probably should have taken Loveland in hindsight, really. I did reach on Herbo for sure. But fuck it. We went with Henry instead. And then The team with Lawrence also has Parker Washington and Brenton Strange stacked up with James Cook, Kyron Williams, and Christian Watson. And the Stafford team, unstacked, that's interesting, has CMC and Kittle, Swift, Devontae Smith, and Jacoby Myers. And then lastly, the team with Allen and Puka has Travion and Ramondre. I don't like both of them on the same team, with Metcalf and Goddard. I don't really love that team. Odd pairing at running back, but could be so elite with Puka and Allen that everything is actually perfect. That could be the team, if not for both New England running backs. But that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it for this live stream. Let me just catch up on the chat. Josh says next season I'm drafting 3 top running backs in a row and then 3 top receivers in a row. Honestly, it's not the worst strategy. I think 2 in the first 3 rounds is the correct strategy. I think in the first 3 rounds, I want 2 running backs and 1 receiver. Ideally, 1 running back in the first round. I think that is the ideal strategy. But Chargers are shutting down Hunter. I don't know, man. They did last year, but I don't know. Do you think Harbaugh will be the Browns coach? No, I think Harbaugh could go to like the Falcons, or if he's bold enough, go to like the Raiders. If the Raiders are going to pay him enough, I think he could go to the Raiders and be in division with his brother. That'd be fun. But Harbaugh family is from Cleveland, and his dad's side are all Browns fans. That is maybe relevant, but I think he should avoid Cleveland. That's just a garbage team, but it would be interesting. You know, maybe he wants revenge on his former team. That would be like an ultimate like revenge move. That'd be interesting. I would find that very compelling to watch if it happened, but I would bet against it most likely. Josh also says Cameron Dicker is the best kicker in league besides Cowboys. I watched him miss 2 kicks in person. I was literally behind the uprights that he missed a field goal right before halftime and then an extra point in the 4th quarter. He's extremely accurate, but pissed me off in week 17. You think he goes to the Dolphins? Harbaugh to the Dolphins. That's interesting. I think he would like to go to the NFC and be in a different conference than his brother. I think if he has the choice, he would go to the NFC, not the AFC. So that's where I think he might go to Atlanta. I could also see him go to like Arizona if they grant his wish list. Like Arizona's not a terrible landing spot when you really factor in everything, but they don't have a quarterback right now, so probably not the ideal scenario. The Giants also kind of interesting, but he wants his own GM, and I don't know why they haven't fired Joe Shane. That's ridiculous at this point. But Josh thinks John probably going to Miami. That's not a bad bet. But if I had to pick, if I was him and I could go anywhere, I would go to the Falcons. That division is so winnable. I think with that roster, they've underperformed heavily. And at this point, the Falcons are like willing to just give free reign to someone. It's not going to be Bill Belichick. I think the Falcons are the most exciting landing spot overall. But there's some like a weird glare coming in. The lighting is odd, but okay, that's going to be it. We'll take one last beat with the chat. Josh says, doesn't Vegas project Bears to beat Packers by 1 point? The line has changed so much. I think it opened Bears minus 1.5, but at the moment, I think the Packers are favored by 1.5. It's a pick 'em either way. I think it's going to be a 1 point game decided by like a converted or failed 2 point conversion. I believe that's how that game goes. Back and forth, 2 point conversion. Whether Caleb converts or not will decide the game. But that's going to be it. I'll see y'all next time. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the games, and maybe we'll go live if my bracket's busted or if my bracket's looking pretty accurate on Sunday night. Maybe we'll go live again and you know, flex on the haters. But odds are shit that no one expects will happen this weekend. Good luck with everything, regardless of playoff best ball and everything. But yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you had a good time and excited for the games. Peace out. Good luck. Bye-bye.